as you can see, this is the infamous Spyder, which, to whom it may concern, it's spelled S-P-Y-D-E-R. The Spyder is amazing because it takes 8 inputs and it puts it on 8 outputs anywhere on the screen that we want. The computers are not routed directly to the projectors. The computers are all routed, and the video feed are all routed through the Spyder, and the Spyder is controlled here on this computer. So if you see, this is the mouse. This is the mouse for the Spyder, and we're going to turn this on, and there's random web pages that pop up, and you just hit cancel. So when you first turn the Spyder on, you turn this computer on, it's going to ask you your last connected server. It gives the IP address, and you want to hit yes. That connects the computer to the Spyder, and it pulls up this really awesome program. And in all truth, this is not actually the Spyder. The Spyder is over in the breathing unit in the rack. The Spyder's over in the rack. This is actually a remote control in based off an IP address and the web. But this is getting to see the brain of the Spyder. So what you'll see here is up here we have program, and down here we have preview. And what's really cool is you can see these on the screens in the media booth. So you see these screens up here, this one on the right hand side, this is actually the Spyder. You're seeing what should be on the screens in the worship center. And the top is the program and the bottom is the preview. So it allows us to look at things and to make sure it's all right and stuff like that before we full on put it on the screen. But getting back to this. So this is very important. I know there's not a lot of buttons to push when we do the Spyder. It's usually only about 7 or 8 clicks per service, and people think that's kind of boring, and that's understandable. Usually when somebody does the Spyder, that person needs to also do the backgrounds, and you just do them at the same time, and that keeps things going. But it is critical, because the Spyder is actually the thing everyone sees on the screens. And it's important that everyone switches, everyone clicks, and goes to the right thing at the right time, and it all works together. And so the person doing the Spyder has to really listen to make sure that everything is ready to go before they click. Because when the person clicking the Spyder clicks, that's like the biggest thing that moves all the stuff on the screen. And some of these adjustments are minor, but it's the big moving part of the service, and so you really have to be paying attention and be dialed into what we're doing. So the first couple things you should know about the Spyder is that these are called command keys. And these command keys are what we use for what we use to go to stuff on the slide. They're like program selections. So you have the different sources, and I have them programmed to go to all the different setups using these command keys. You have walk-in and worship and announcements and sermon 2. Now each one of these is labeled. Right, this is the first command key, and it has a name and it has a number. And one of the things that I do that's really bad is I will use both the name and the number, or I'll use the name or the number. I'm trying to use the names of these keys more, because I'm calling out cues for the video switcher 2, and those are based off of numbers for cameras 1, 2, and 8, and all that jazz. But these have 2 names, but I usually try to write those down on the agenda, so you know what's coming up and what's going on next. And then the rest of it, the ones we do for the sermon illustrations, you gotta flow with me and be dialed into whoever's doing the directing, and they have to be dialed into communicating correctly to the Spyder person. That's the biggest thing in the booth, is everyone has to communicate well and communicate together and work as a team. So as you'll see, there's different cues for different things, and you probably know this, so that's worship. And what you can do is double click, but it's very important that you click in this top box. You see there's a box that says PGM, and there's one that says PVW, program and preview. It's important that you double click in the program box, and that's what will switch. And you can see it switching over here, right? So you need to do that. When we go to the cues, these are very simple. Don't worry about the red and the yellow and how long it takes to go. That's just other stuff. That's different aspects of the program that we don't really use. There's nothing here now, and sometimes I'll add buttons, sometimes I'll take them away. We have buttons for, I have the settings for the funerals we do, for the worship nights, for different illustrations, to just clear the screen, all sorts of different stuff, right? But you'll have these written down on the agenda, and I have a copy written down of which buttons we use for what. But these are the command keys, and you double click in the program. Something that's also very cool about the Spyder is that it's actually a touchscreen. You're like, what? But it is. And I can touch and click anything on the Spyder that I want. I can do all sorts of stuff. I'll select here, select here. So, with that being said, there's all sorts of things you need to be careful for. That you don't touch the Spyder on the screen while we're in the show. It's very, it's like, oh, I want to touch the Spyder on the screen, or you go to point something out to somebody, or you go to ask me a question, or ask somebody else a question, and people will accidentally do this all the time. Oh, what's this? And all of a sudden, you're moving the slide on the screen, and we can't be doing that. So it's very important that you don't touch the slide on the screen, because otherwise you'll get stuck. That'll not be good. So something else you should know is that if you ever run into a situation, say you're in walk-in and you accidentally grab, you're like, oh, what's this? And you accidentally grab this and you move it. You're like, oh no, I moved it. Don't just double click the program. And no matter what you're in, don't just double click the program. Actually, what you need to do is you need to double click PGM in a different one and then switch back to the one that you wanted to be in. Okay, so another thing you can know about the Spyder is if you're looking at this is actually the source list right here. This is the source list, and you have Pro Presenter. That's the computer with the pictures and the sermon fill-ins and stuff like that. And then you have Pro Presenter Key Luma. And what Pro Presenter Key Luma does is it shows it so that it takes the black out of all of the pictures, so you can put white text invisible. We use Right Mac Luma Key to do the lyrics. Does that make sense, right? Right Mac Luma Key versus Right Mac Full, which is would have the full back, and it would show that black part. But we don't want at all to ever do black slides. That's not good. They should all have backgrounds, or they should be Luma keyed, and that's the correct way to do them. Production mix is the video feed, and Pro Presenters those things, and then you have it's Center Mac Mix 18 is the backgrounds, and you can't really see these, and this isn't like pertinent information. This is just you can know it because you can. So I'm telling you. If you look at this over here, this is the full what you're looking at. So when we're doing the slides, when we're doing the backgrounds, do you see how it's actually much bigger than the full size of the screen? Because see, this isn't empty. Those are the screens. That's the way the computer sees the screens. And then when we go to walk-in, it's putting all these different things on the screen, and you see that right, because 7 is Pro Presenter Fill, is the slides on the side, and this is the Right Mac Luma Key, which ends up being the Jesus swoosh. And when you're looking at the backgrounds, it's actually this giant box, and you're just seeing the center sliver of it. Does that make sense? Which really shows you the amazing capabilities of the Spyder, because those are 1920 by 1080 backgrounds. Those are normal size backgrounds. Those are the same size as the worship rotation slides that are coming out of this computer in Pro Presenter. And the Spyder has the ability to take them and make them, the screens are, so 1920 by 1080, those are the pixels. They're 1920 long, 1920 pixels wide. The screens are 8050 pixels wide. So what you're looking at out on the screens in the worship center is actually, when you're looking at the backgrounds, is actually 1920 by 1080, the motion backgrounds, I'm sorry, specifically the motion backgrounds, spread out over 8,000 pixels, and you're just seeing the center slides. That's just the coolest thing ever to me, because you see those so clear and so crisp. It's amazing. I love it. I think it's the coolest thing ever, but maybe that's just me. Anyways, that has no pertinent information to how you do the Spyder during the service. It's there. I think that's kind of cool to know, but you get this different, and usually these are pretty zoomed in, because sometimes I adjust these or something like that. Right, you've got worship, which you'll see. Hit the command key some more, worship, and you've got announcements, sermon 2, which is just sermon, it is what it is. Slides, we put the slides on the screen. 235 slides. 235 is the name of the video format that we're using. It's the new sermon being triple wide, or the video feed for the sermon being triple wide, and also also those illustrations, and we put graphics on the sides that are triple wide, or that are the size and entirely fill the left and right screens. It's called 235. And that's about it.